Trust Christian, own nothing, control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live or listening in a replay. Back once again, 2019, with another episode of the Vault 100% Private Money 101. Excited about this episode and talking to you all. It's been a missing for me. I know it's been a missing for a lot of other individuals. And I know it's going to be a lot of people tuning in and wanting to actually connect with us tonight. So I'm really excited. Thank you, Lorenzo Warren. Thank you, AUIG Davis. We're just going to do a bunch of thank yous as well. So I'm really excited about the audience tonight, and I appreciate all of you all sending us emails. Thank you, Gustavo, for tuning in live. Appreciate you, and look forward to it. Glenn, Ernest Robinson, so excited. Uh, it's a pleasure, everyone, to be back. So I know everyone is new to the vault. You guys may be hearing me doing an extended greeting tonight or today, wherever you are in the world, just because the absence of Trust Christian in the vault. Hey Kent, thank you for tuning in live. Ernest Robinson. It's been a while. 2018 has some time to kind of do some things and grow to the next level, and it's been a joy. A bunch of families have been impacted by the vault in a positive way. The community has grown, and that's where the attention has been. It's been focused in the private because the private is where all the power is, and so that's why today it's rather important to come back out in 2019 and talk about and address the 100% private money, because a lot of individuals have been educated in public money and public funds, but who knows about the private money and or equity? And so there are two sets of information, ladies and gentlemen. There's public and there's private. And so today we're just going to go over and discuss the private education that individuals receive or families receive at the vault, and what you can look forward to in private trustee training. So really exciting. And we're going to be going over that today, particularly about private money. And the reason why I thought this was an exceptional topic to come back out and talk about in 2009. Thanks, Trey Stone, for tuning in live. Missed you as well. Um, the reason why I thought it was important to talk about private money, once again, is because there's two types of education. There's private and there's public. But I want to give you all some family names that you all can see that are inside the vault and or have their own vault. Individuals and families such as the Rothschilds, such as the Morgans, such as the Rockefellers. They all practice what's called own nothing, control everything. And these are families that have banking cartels internationally. Thanks for Shad and B for tuning in live. And B Alexandria, excuse me. And I really wanted to share with you all, I know you all look at the Forbes list. That's a relatively public information source of wealth. But I would challenge you all to think about what makes you think that the Rothschilds, one of the largest banking families in the world, why are they not on the Forbes list? Is it because they're not American? But when we look at the Morgans, when we look at the Rockefellers were actually in the United States. The Carnegies were actually in the United States. And once again, they practiced the thing called own nothing, control everything, which all wealth is held inside of the trust. All wealth is held inside of the private. This is why you hear so many wealthy families inside of trust. It's because the practice having money inside of a own nothing, control everything perspective, inside a private money scenario. Thank you, Vincent, for tuning in live. So let's just kind of talk about that tonight. Before your eyes every single day. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Private education. The first thing you learned in our private community, it's all about jurisdiction. What jurisdiction is the money in? Everyone on this line in this stream knows there's a difference between a public corporation and a private corporation. But most people don't know how a private corporation is formed, but they know how to go down and file at the Secretary of State and go get a public corporation. What is a private corporation? Ladies and gentlemen, that's a corporation that's held in trust. That is a corporation where you look at, we'll go through the first family of example. The Gates family right now. Everyone that's in America uh, used to know that Bill Gates used to be what's called the richest man in the world. But Bill Gates was the richest man in the world before he learned own nothing, control everything. He went through his tax situation, and then you saw the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And then you saw Microsoft make its largest dividend distribution of money, public money once again, from a public corporation that's publicly traded on the stock market to a private family foundation. $1 billion dividend distribution given tax-free. $1 billion plus. And has been going on for years because that's called private money. 100% private money. You all can go look up the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. You can go see that it is a private family foundation. It's not a public foundation. It's a private foundation. Why is it a private foundation? Because it's held in trust. All of that money is held in trust. It's in a private trust. So, let's talk about this private money. How is it held privately? It's held in a trust. Well, what is a trust? A trust is a contract. And let's look at the law of contracts. The law of contracts says contract makes the law. Let's learn how we can use an old-time strategy by the elite to create and pass on generational wealth tax-free. Because when that money goes into that private family foundation, it's given tax-free. It's a 501c3 entity. It's a charity. There are public charities and there are private charities. There's public money and there's private money. So, I wanted to share this with you all today because I know a lot of individuals say, oh, I want to go private. I want to be private. First rule of being private: own nothing, control everything. There's a gentleman, as I've traveled, I saw that there's a gentleman. His name is, let me get his name back up real quick for you all. This gentleman's name, J.B. Pritzker. Go ahead and put it in the chat for you all. If you're not on the chat, you'll get a chance to, hopefully get a chance to see it. Pritzker. He's actually running for, I think this is governor in Chicago. And so, this individual is a billionaire. And I like this article that I read about him because it talks about private money. First of all, a blind trust would imply that whatever's going on is private. Thank you, Kobe, for tuning in live. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in live. If I haven't talked to you live, please feel free to shout us out and say hello. Why is this so imperative? He's a billionaire, but he's running for public office. Now, I was talking to a trustee, a senior trustee, about this the other day, and we were talking about how when you run for public office, there has to be a level of disclosure that's given to the public. First of all, if you don't own anything, how do you live in a multi-million-dollar house? How do you have jets? How do you have $200,000 vehicles in your driveway if you don't own anything? Well, when you go into the public to hold a public office, there's certain levels of disclosure that have to be given. This man has a family estate. His family estate has been now appointed Northern Trust Company. So as you can see, there's a third party now. They're an independent trustee over the assets that this individual in their family estate, private money, was held. But because this individual wants to go into a public office, there has to be a certain level of disclosure in the public. He's not actually running for a Chicago governor. He's running for Illinois, because you can't be a governor, I think, of a city. You have to be governor of a state. So I just want to be clear. I don't want anyone make any comments on the back end as if I'm not knowledgeable of that. Earl Monroe, appreciate you for tuning in live. And so you all can look up J.B. Pritzker. I put it in the chat. And I wanted to share with you another individual, the President of the United States currently, Donald Trump. We've been talking about this since he's been elected. This individual said, I don't have any tax returns to show. Well, how are you a billionaire riding around on a jet? You got a multi-million-dollar house that you live in, but you don't own it. You don't even have a tax return to show that you can afford to live in it. It's called private money, 100% private money. And this is 101. Private money 101 says you have to own nothing, control everything. Family trusts are erected. For all of you all that want to do community building, that's through a private real estate investment trust. That's through a private family trust. See, there's two types of trust. There's two types of everything. They got the public and they got the private. So you all say, well, give me an example of what the public one is. Just one example. It's called Social Security. Social Security is for the public welfare, the public funds. Everything that's public goes into Social Security. Everything that's private goes into the private. Jack Bone, thanks for tuning in live. So, thanks, Jack Bone. I appreciate the comment. So, I just really wanted to go over that today. I'm actually open for questions. My messages are never long nowadays. They're very, very brief, very straight, very to the point of letting you all know. Individuals, when individuals say, well, if there's two different types of contracts, public contracts and private contracts, did you all know that contract law is private law? That's why you don't get that education in public school. Did you know the law library is waiting for you? That's a private environment. That's made for individuals that want to learn how to protect their private rights. See, I'll probably have to do an episode about, is privacy under attack? Because it's not. Even though you all have seen. Why is it public? Because, no sound. Okay, Vincent Terry, thanks. Thanks, Vincent Terry. Thanks, Big Smile. Newbie. Vincent, can you hear me? Alrighty, thank you, Vincent. So I don't know where I fell off, Vincent, but I'm gonna start back out about, is privacy under attack? Is private money attack? It's not under attack. Why? Because the same individual that everyone had an issue with in the public, talking about he's taking their private pictures and their private everything and releasing it to the public and selling it, the same agreement, which is a private contract that you agreed to, you as a private person. I shouldn't call you a private person, because a person is a corporation, it's an association, and it's a trust. It's an entity. It's a dead entity. So, the same individual you guys may be questioning whether your privacy is under attack through Facebook, this individual did the same thing that Bill Gates did. As soon as he started making the billions, where did the money go? How was it set up? It was set up inside of a private family foundation. That's why you see the Zuckerberg Foundation. That's a private family foundation. So for all you all that want 501c3s, you want private entities, how does the money go directly from Facebook Incorporated, corporation, which is a public entity? Thanks, Bo, for tuning in live. How does the money go directly from a public corporation into a private family foundation? Complete tax write-off. Zuckerberg's enjoying that jet, having property over there in Hawaii. He doesn't own it. He controls it. Yeah, you got to have a good team of lawyers. That's what they always say. But how come you guys got to go to a public lawyer to get private information? Because most lawyers have a public education. They don't have a private education. The private education comes from the law library. The public education is to keep you public. So, how do you have the private money? You have to become a part of a community, such as I did, such as what the vault is. It's a private community of trustees, owning nothing, controlling everything. And that's how money and wealth and equity in private and public corporations, but held privately through private trust, is held. So I thank you all for tuning in live, listening to replay. It's been a joy to be back on in 2019. Going to do my best to do episodes every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, 7 Central. Do an episode for you all. Revamp some things, go over, give you all the more updated 2.0 version of the Vault and Trust Christian. The email is in the email, christian@trustchristian.com. And so we're excited to go over private money. I'm actually open for questions. I see it's a ton of people online. Appreciate you all for tuning in live or listening to replay. Feel free to put in your questions into the chat right now pertaining to the topic of private money. I don't want to really get into a tax questionnaire. I know a lot of times, a lot of people, IRS shut down, the federal government shut down. That already lets you know who's protecting you all right now. Is the public protecting you all, or are you protecting yourself and your family privately? See, the private rights are still protected. It's the public ones that are under attack. Because there's new laws created in the public all the time. The private staples that this country, the United States, has been built on have not changed. Oh, thanks, Big Smile, for tuning in live from the UK. Appreciate you. Big Smile is an opportunity always. You have to give me the exact country that you would be referencing, but I can tell you right now, the law of contracts. What's so beautiful about trust and contracts is that you can operate internationally when you know what you're doing. Specifically in Amsterdam as well, the country that you just threw up, is because these are ex-crown rule countries. These are countries that have been run by contracts. When the crown went into other jurisdictions, they created what? Contracts, treaties. And that's how they created private money scenarios. And that's why they give the auspice of the fact that they make the individuals that live in these current countries right now, that the crown, or what we could call it the crown, is still receiving funds. That's why all of these countries are in bankruptcy to who? The IMF. That's a private organization. Private money. So a private lending cartel is lending money to who? Public institutions. Where did the private money come from, ladies and gentlemen? They came from families, because family law is private law. Did you know that? Family law is private law. But somehow, people have wanted the public to step in and create child support laws, welfare laws, to get public funds, to take from the rich and give to the poor. It doesn't work that way. That's why the president of the United States can sit on the stage when he was getting elected and say, guess what? I don't own anything to actually have to pay taxes. The companies that I manage do. He's private. That's the country we live in. Privacy is not under attack. It's alive and well. 100% private money 101. They say, what is the best entities to be operating out of? You got a sole prop, that's public. You got an LLC, that's public. You got a corporation, that's public. You got an S Corp, that's public. You get to a trust, and that's public. And then you get to the private trust, and that's private. So, I would love questions, more questions, please, while I'm still live. I miss you guys. Love questions. So we got Newbie. I hope I'm saying it right, Newbie, or I'll just call you Kareem. Lady T, thanks for tuning in live. It said Jeff Bezos was smart. $81,000 was his salary in 2018. Play the game the right way. Okay, since you want to play that way, Kareem, I'm going to go ahead and give you Roy Seabag. Let's go ahead and I'm going to type Roy Seabag in for you all. Roy Seabag, I've done an episode on him. If you guys want to go back and see the episode I did. I think it said, "How do you fly private jets and have mansions and you draw $1 salary?" Do you all know who Steve Jobs was? Steve Jobs did the same thing. $81,000, but then he's listed on Forbes as a billionaire, Jeff Bezos, right? But he pulled down a salary supposedly. I don't know that is accurate, Kareem, so I won't attest to that. But I can throw a name out there that has over a $500 million company as the founder, but for some reason you have a $1 salary. It's called own nothing, control everything, ladies and gentlemen. Bo says, so does the IMF have a monopoly on the monetary system? Once again, it's private. Public is participation. It's consent. Private is just that. You all have the opportunity to do private business. But most of the time, most people are doing what? Public business. Because they have a public education. So the Vault provides that education. Christian at trustchristian.com. The Vault. HFRN period vault at Gmail. Kobe says, how do you take your income earned public 9 to 5 and protect it through a trust? Man, I'm going to do an episode. I'll write that down. We'll do an episode, the difference between income versus an asset. When you get your money in the public, it's taxed. It's got to be taxed. Why? Because it's public money. You're receiving it. First of all, I'm going to give you the big difference. You can't be private if you got a job. So that's the first mistake. That's what you've been trained in. To be a public puppet. Get a job. Your children are being trained to get a job in the public. There is no private job. In the private, you're an entrepreneur. In the private, you do everything for your last name, for your family. That's what goes on in the private. It's entrepreneurship. Because then you can exercise the right of own nothing, control everything. Do you own your job? No. You're a beneficiary of a trust. It's called the Social Security Administration. It's called the Social Security Administration Trust. That's what you're a part of in the public. But in the private, you don't have to use that number. Why? Because you're not in the public. You're in the private. In the private, there are no numbers. It's private. Don't they even tell you on the Social Security Administration card not to give the number out to anybody other than who? The Social Security Administration? That's a public organization. Why would you be giving a Social Security number to the police? That's private. But individuals have a public education. So guess what? They pull out their public. They pull out what's only supposed to be for one entity and give it to another public entity. And that's how financial transactions are created. Everything's done through a Social Security number or EIN or a TIN or ITIN. These are numbers to what? Create a financial statement off of. For what? 100% either public money or 100% private money. Sincerely Unique, SU, appreciate you for tuning in live. You can email us at christian@trustchristian.com. The Vault. Lady T say, how do you transfer $500,000 401k into a trust and have full use without being taxed? Well, here you go. Here's your first problem. You put it into a public fund. So guess what? When you have money in the public, it's going to be a public tax associated with it. In the private, what's in the private? IRS is in the public, not in the private. IRS is dealing with public people, not private people. That's why the money goes directly from Microsoft Corporation to Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for Bill and Melinda. That's why the money goes from Berkshire Hathaway to Berkshire Hathaway Foundation for your boy Warren Buffett. That's why the money goes from Facebook and it goes to the Zuckerberg Foundation. Thanks Quasi Bay for tuning in live. Rodney Jackson. What about a promissory note in the private? I'm not going to answer your latter of the question, Rodney, in the public, but the point is a promissory note. Ladies and gentlemen, the question of someone asking, what about a promissory note? That's in the law library. Once again, any law information is in the law library. It's private. Yes, it's private. Did they teach you or any of you, everyone else on this line, did they teach you about promissory notes in public school? They called them IOUs. But you don't have the full education. You got to go to the law library. Half the individuals that buy houses sound promissory notes. But they call it a deed. They call it a mortgage. How are you paying on a promissory note? If you already promised to pay, do you know when you're supposed to start paying? Do you even know why you signed a promissory note in the beginning? So, I thank you all for tuning in live, listening to the replay. Lady T say, are you coming to do a seminar at all in California? Love to speak with you. I don't see that happening anytime soon, Lady T. We actually do have some things going on, but the private community has grown so big that the focus is to focus on the private families that are already involved. The focus is to continuously grow private families privately. So doing a lot of the workshops. We never did seminars. Seminars are for salespeople. We do private education for private families because family law is private and so is contract law. The two things they don't teach in public school. So, Minister Mark, feel free to contact us at christian@trustchristian.com. Appreciate you. So, gone for about 27 minutes here today. Wanted to talk about 100% private money. 100% private money is held in contract. Private ones. Not regulated by the public. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, contract law is private. So if you expect to learn this information outside of the vault, the best place to go. A lot of people ask me to say, Trust Christian, how do you learn all this information? Where do I go if I'm not going to enroll in the trustee training for the vault? You go to the law library. You learn what contracts are. We've been signing and dealing in contracts our whole life. Implied and expressed. And I encourage you all to find out how to live your life 100% private money. Where things aren't tied to a public social security number. Ladies and gentlemen, I am a big fan of charity. I'm a big fan of giving back to the community. So, isn't that what the government is? The only difference is that there are two types of capital, ladies and gentlemen. There's two types of social capital, we'll say. Because I say I like charity, so I love charity. So there's two types of social capital, because charity is social capital. There's voluntary social capital, which is the private family foundation. And then there's public and involuntary social capital. That's called Social Security Administration and taxes. They take from you and they tell you they're going to give you money to somebody else that snuck up under the wall. They get over here because they want to enjoy the freedoms that people's families have worked to protect. They wanted to enjoy the freedoms that people's families have worked to protect. And the private will always protect the family's estate. Because the private was here before the public. Private families built this country, not public ones. Public families are recipients of private families' generosity. So, where is the family trust in the UCC? Glenn. I couldn't point that out. The UCC governs public contracts, but once again, we did say contract law is private law. So I am a fan of contract law when it comes to the UCC. I do enjoy reading the UCC is called the Uniform Commercial Code, but I used to and still liking to call it the Uniform Contract Code because it is a public, kind of like a public consensus per the states and actually internationally via ICA, which covers international contracts around the world. They try to give it a uniform. That's why they call it Uniform Commercial Code, Uniform Contract Code, to give a uniformity to what these contracts can go in from one jurisdiction to the next, whether it's from California to Maryland or Maryland to to Texas or Texas to Florida. They deal with the Uniform Commercial Code, which is really awesome. Yeah, Minister Mark question says, why not a revocable trust? Because a revocable trust says that the grantor didn't give up control of the assets. So the fact that they can still come back, uh, how's that helpful? Is it true with the irrevocable is locked up and you lose control over the trust? That's where you get into the fact that we have a proprietary process that we operate in the private. So the question that you're asking is public. Excuse me, the question that you're asking is private, but answering it in the public will not serve you. Irrevocable is a whole other entity. It is. It definitely is. And I love the way you all are speaking nowadays. You say, you lose control of the trust. So then you already understand we're not using those for a specific reason. As trustees, we don't want to be locked in to where if an individual or you yourself want to actually give to a trust and then you give to a trust and then you give over irrevocably. That's why you see this individual J.B. Prisker and he's giving the assets away to a third party trustee called Northern what is it? I think it was Northern Trust Company. Lady T said, did you get the family trust? Not yours, because I don't own anything, so it's not mine. Did you get the family trust straight out of the law library? No, I didn't. I was actually trained by a private mentor and private trustees, private community. I have a private education. So no, didn't get it straight out of the law library. Law library is a great resource to sharpen your skills and your sword. But no, I did not. How do you get enrolled in a trustee training? You email us at christian@trustchristian.com. Do you cover 501c and 508? No, I do not, Quasi Bay. I have no interest in covering 508. When we talk about 501c3, I actually did an episode of the difference between, what was that, tax exempt versus nonprofit. A lot of people confuse nonprofit. No one's in the business. If you're in the business of making nonprofit, I generally probably will not have a conversation with you. That's a pauper. That's a beggar. Asking for money, talking about you're not making a profit off of it. Who gives money to a nonprofit? People give money to places that they can get a return on it for investment purposes. Not all entities are created equal. So when you say 501c3, all it is a tax exemption. It doesn't mean that the entity's nonprofit. You can go check with your public lawyer for reference on that. You're welcome, Mark. Appreciate you for tuning in live. Okay. So what book do I find out more information about family trust? Once again, you have to go to the law library and you can see contract. Contract law is private. Is it? Contract law is private. Family law is private. Why do you need the government involved in your private matters? If contract law is private and family law is private, then that means that the family can create a private contract without the government. The government doesn't tell you you can't do it. They just tell you, hey, well, won't you come on over here? You don't know how to manage your own affairs, so let's go ahead and do this thing called child support. You don't know how to set up a private contract, so we'll do it for you. And we're going to take a fee out of the money that the man's supposed to be paying for his children. Or the woman's supposed to be paying for the children. How's that private? But family law is private. Contract law is private. Big Smile says, what about stocks? Stocks are public. I'm not a big fan of it, but you have to do what you have to do. Those are things that It's a case by cases basis, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, there are things called public corporations. Public corporations issue shares and stocks. They're issued to who once again though? The public. So where are the private stocks at? If they got private corporations. What's a private stock, ladies and gentlemen? I'll give you a hint, hint, wink, wink. It's called founder stock. Those are stocks that are sold. Those are shares that are sold privately. It's called VC money or angel investing that are done completely before that stock ever goes public. That's why you hear about, that's what I love about the States right now. You get so much VC money going on and so much angel investing going on. Most of the companies don't even have to go public for years now. Nowadays, they're just going to go issue private stocks. These companies are going to sit privately, and then they're going to have people come in and buy stocks privately and issue them privately. That's 100% private money. The company didn't go public yet. Look how long Facebook took before they went public. Look how long Twitter did. Look how long the rest of these companies took before they went publicly giving out public money 100% to have public people pay public taxes. Rodney Jackson, are you familiar with redemption manuals? No, I'm not. I'm not redeeming myself from anything. Big Smile says, I started a clothing line. What to do? To save money. Do what I just mentioned. Create a private situation, contract, and go ahead and see if you can raise that private equity. Go through a private round of funding. To save money, your quote unquote your money, it says to save my money. Private people fund it. Founder stock in the company. Private equity in the company. You all watch Shark Tank. Shark Tank is a public show. And what happens? Individuals, people that have companies, want private funding before they go public. They might have a corporation, but they're not issuing public shares. They're taking in private equity. There you go. That's 100% private money 101. I thank you all for tuning in live or listening to replay. Trust Christian. Own nothing, control everything. That is the words we live by. We live, eat, sleep, and play trust. I appreciate you all for tuning in live or listening to replay. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your night. Do my best to do an episode every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the country of the United States or wherever you are in the world. It'll be based off of 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific. Thank you, Angela, for tuning in live. Glenn, appreciate you all. It's been a blast. Thank you all for tuning in live again. Share this with your friends and family. Make it a point to start doing situations that are focused on private so you all can build the public. The public is built by the private. Thank you, Lorenzo, for tuning in live. The private has always built the public. The private is going on right now. The public government is doing a shutdown, and private business is doing business big time. Because that's what the country is founded on. Entrepreneurship, not jobs. The jobs are waiting for private funding. So, appreciate you all. Peace and blessings. Thank you, Jarrell, for tuning in live. Thank you for JT, Quasi, all you all, Kobe. Thank you all so much. Peace and blessings. Share this with your friends and families.